Welcome everyone to In the Know with Kat Bobino, and today we have two guests. Our two guests are going to be Netta and Jacinta. They are the co-founders of Dipper, and since they are not in the Bay Area but on the East Coast, they are calling in with us tonight. And so I want to introduce you to both Netta and Jacinta, and let's start with Netta. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Okay. Of course. Okay. Awesome, awesome. And Jacinta, before we get you started, I do have a message on Facebook Live saying that they can't hear the guests. So I'm just going to have my producer come in and check that. But we are still recording. So Jacinta, if you want to go ahead and give us your story, that'd be awesome. Absolutely. Awesome, awesome. So again, I think they can hear you now. I just got another message saying that the audio is very low, though, so they can hear you. They can hear you, ladies, but it's okay. But it's all good. We're gonna keep this party started, or keep it going, actually. So can you get ladies tell us a little bit more about Dipper? Hmm. Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Let me ask you this. What made you decide to get started with Dipper? I know you both have your own careers, and you also have a family. So what was the motivation for also starting your own company? Right. Mm.
With products that really help touch people where they were and provided them an outlet. And so I was like, how can we turn what Sam Mathis's office was into a product that's really accessible to people from their bedrooms, or from their desks.
Right.
And, just talking to Netta about this over lunch one day in Chelsea, she was just like, girl, absolutely, it's gotta happen. And yeah, Netta, I don't know if you want to pick up where we were almost in tears at this random French restaurant in Chelsea, but we just really felt like we needed to make this a go and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Hands down, absolutely. When Jacinta had shared this with me, I'm just like, this is a no-brainer.
Right.
This is something that our community desperately needs. How many times a day, and I've done this with Jacinta where I've just vented to her.
Right.
About situations that have happened in the workplace. She's done that with me. Even today we were venting, right? And it's just if we had that safe space digitally to share that, but also make sure that, these organizations are held accountable, but also being able to offer them solutions as well to be better for their employees.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need that opportunity to be able to share our stories, and to be able to say, this was good, this was bad, this person was an ally, this person wasn't an ally. Be mindful, so that's awesome that you've created this platform that allows, people of color to come in and say, this is what I've experienced.
Right.
And so how does the platform work? I was playing with it a little bit myself, but is it kind of like a Facebook type where you can just upload what's going on, or a LinkedIn, or how does the platform work?
Yeah. So we started off, I guess I am going to answer your question, but I kind of want to tell you a little bit about how we got to what it is today.
Okay.
We started and we really, we had all these grandiose ideas about the type of product we wanted to be able to build. But we really went and we reached out to our network and surveyed a lot of people. So Netta and I are not only passionate about inclusive workplaces and diversity and people of color, but we also love data. And so we were just like, what is the data that this community of people is telling us we should build? And so the early stage of what we were told to build and what we were told was needed is what we have today. And that's really a place for people to go and really just from a simple way survey where they work today, and share what their current workplace is like. And then also ask and open up the door for, am I in need of additional advice? Am I in need of help? Am I trying to get out? Am I trying to tell people to come here? You may work somewhere that's awesome and you just want to get more, Latina people in the door, or you want to get more Black folks in the door. That may just be what you want to see.
Right.
And, so are you looking for a place to tell more people about the company you're at?
Right. Yeah, I wanted to give you just a little story that I was on a panel not too long ago, and the panel was for women in tech. It was talking about how to get, more diversity, more women, things like that. Of course, it's a panel of 3 women plus the moderator and so besides me, everyone was all Caucasian women. One was a angel investor, or she worked with as a venture capitalist, and the other person she has started a startup that had raised about 30 million the first year. And so people were asking questions about diversity, about, having a seat at the table. And they were just saying how, it's great to be diverse because they were white women. And I had to let them know, okay, that's a start. However, that's not just because you have white men and white women at the table, that's really not diversity.
Yeah.
And so,
and Netta and I, we're like, it's good that we're in the room.
Right.
It's good. But do we have equity? Are we shareholders? are we like C-level? Are we in positions where we can bring more people who look like us to the table?
Right.
Netta, I think you were also about to say something, but this is definitely something we're both like jumping at the bit at.
Absolutely.
I think, and even like digging a bit deeper when we start talking about looking at systemic gaps in the company, our company is looking at promotion evaluations. How is that happening?
Right.
I think a lot of organizations, they just don't focus on the face. Oh, we have women. Oh, we have people of color. We look good, and that's like the PR kind of it.
Yes.
And internally, like I was saying before, there's a lot that needs to be changed.
Right.
A lot of solutions that need to be in place. So
absolutely. There was a woman, a Muslim woman, who stood up, and she made a great point. It was a company she worked for, and she said that she learned the hard way that diversity and inclusion are two separate words. Because, right, she does cybersecurity. She was hired as a diversity candidate, but she was not included in the conversations.
There you go.
Yes. And she mentioned how when she would tell her bosses different things, if a Caucasian man said the same thing, they were used kitten gloves. Maybe we're not going to do it this way. Or one actually got a promotion while one got a 3-month severance. However, when she spoke on it, all of a sudden she's not a good communicator. She's not a good team player. And now she's let go.
Yeah.
Right.
It's unfortunate because just being, working as a leader and executive in the industry, I hear so many of these stories, and there's even challenges that I have faced myself. And it's so unfortunate. And this is how come we really wanted to bring Dipper to the table, because I think these experiences really need to be highlighted. There's a lot of data out there that talks about, the oppression or, what's happening within companies, but we really don't know.
Right.
And I think for people to really get a sense of what folks are experiencing is going to be game changing.
Absolutely. So I want to say, as again, you're listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino. We're also on Facebook Live. I want to implore some of our watchers, if you have questions for myself, for Netta, for Jacinta, please go ahead and type them in. We can see them. We have absolutely plan on answering any questions. These wonderful ladies have started their own company called Dipper, and this is a platform that allows us as people of color to come in and to talk about our experiences in a safe space, and to also help other people get into our places of business that's doing great and that are allies to us. And so we're talking about that today. And so ladies, I wanted to know, what year did you guys get started? And did you build the app, or did you find someone to build the app for you? How did that go?
Yeah, Netta, you want me to take that? So we started this year. We started this year.
Okay.
We launched in August. And it's been, it was July. I'm sorry. We started in mid-July.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely spent a lot of time prior to that, like I said, brainstorming. We surveyed. We built a very basic survey site ourselves to survey people we knew and ask people to sort of send it to people they knew to learn more about people's willingness to share. And then I reached out to a colleague, a friend of mine, who was also frat with me at the University of Missouri.
Okay.
And he is the co-founder of Sandberg Design and Development, and they focus on developing technology that is around, that helps transform culture and inclusion. And so this was really in their wheelhouse. And so we partnered with them to help us, build this product and really make it a reality. And, that's really, we're glad that, not only am I glad that we're able to work with somebody that I know,
Right.
but also, someone at a company that shares the same vision as us and really is trying to reach the same audience and bring about global change that we all want to see.
Okay, that's good. And so, since you guys started in August, how many people are on the platform so far?
Oh my goodness, we have an overwhelming response of people and reviews that have been coming through. Definitely hundreds, I'd say. So we're definitely building and increasing members pretty quickly. And I think it goes back to people seeing this as a need, and when folks feel like, okay, this is something that we need, they want to be all over it and a part of it.
Right.
So we really haven't had issues with, folks wanting to become members and share their experiences. And the cool thing, like Jacinta said, is when we had initially started, we surveyed folks just to gauge if they would be comfortable sharing reviews.
Right.
It was about 87% of professionals of color that hands down they would share their reviews. So we're definitely seeing that, and that was accurate in terms of the data.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, a lot of times people feel like when you're doing something in tech or anything in STEM, you have to have all of this educational background in STEM. You have to be degreed up all the way to a PhD, and it takes all of this hard work, the schooling and everything like that. But we all have a different story when it comes to being in STEM. So I wanted to ask you ladies, what's a little bit about your story? How did you get to where you are as far as education-wise? And was it the education, or actually was it the need and the people, knowing the right people, that got you to where you are now? How did that happen?
Such a good question.
Yeah. I think that's like the power of technology which is beautiful, Kat, because you really don't need to have years and years of experience and this background or very extensive network or come from a certain pedigree to really kick off your idea.
Right.
And, I think it's just telling more people that, I volunteered for Girls Who Code, and it's great to see, little brown girls come up with ideas, and then by the end of the summer semester, they're real. And they're like, oh, I knew nothing about how to do any of this 4 weeks ago,
right.
And now they're able to come out with something very true and real. My background, I was an English major. I moved to New York to be a writer.
Okay.
And it's very, very early on, I was hungry and working 3 jobs. So I ended up at an ad agency and started doing media buying. And after really growing there and learning a lot about advertising, both TV and radio and out of home, I was pushing them to do more digital, and they really weren't ready for it at the time. And so I left and went to a startup that did a lot of mobile pin submit offers and ringtones. And I was there 6 months, and then I got laid off. And I thought, like we do in our 20s, was very dramatic, and I thought my world was ending. But as I sat in Chipotle crying, I remembered a recruiter had reached out to me about a job with IAC, which was the parent company of all these really cool internet brands like Ask.com, Match, and I think at the time Expedia. And so I was like, well, let me give her a call and see if that job is still available. And it was. So I got laid off on a Thursday, and then I started at IAC on another Thursday, the next Thursday.
Look at that.
Right. And I knew at that time, I had only worked in technology for about 6 months at that time,
Right.
But, I was able to go to IAC, and at IAC, I held about, 4 different job titles, moved to 2 different teams, ended up working on our mobile division and heading up our global marketing team. And then from there, I've been at Kimi, which has been great because it's been completely different to be at a technology company that is evolving and growing. But what I love about it is you can throw new ideas on the wall and run with it because you're not at such a big company. And it's been a great experience. And I really think it's given me the fuel to say, hey, let me go after what I want to build. Like kind of seeing tech from all different sides in even a very short period of time. Like my career's only been like 12 years, where our parents could have done something for 20 years. I think tech has allowed us to kind of accelerate all of these experiences.
Right.
And also across the different industries very quickly.
That's awesome. And that's what I love about tech too. One of the things that I launched last year was a free tech class. And these are folks that came in that had no experience with technology. They learned how to code, and we, are giving those folks an opportunity to be a part of our organization, those that have excelled in the program. So I think there's this big myth that you have to have these degrees, you have to, go to college for computer science, and that's a big myth. There's so many different boot camps out there, so many organizations that are now launching these, external programs for folks to really learn how to code and be a part of the technology space.
Right.
For me, I grew up in an African household. I'm Liberian. And for many Africans, I think they can resonate with this. Your parents have three goals for you. You can be three things in life. It's either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. So at the age of 10, my father started buying me law books. My mom was purchasing books for me to become a doctor. I'm like, hey, what's going on here?
Right. A little push in the directions that they thought was the best direction.
They're like, listen, you need to make this money, right?
Right.
Of course, when I didn't go on that path, my parents were looking at me like, she is a failure in life, but once they hear the VP title, then they're like, okay, she made it.
Right.
But I think, overall for me, growing up in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, we faced a lot of racism. And I remember, one day going back home to my mom and just like crying about it. And she said to me, I didn't bring you in this world to cry about things, I brought you in this world to create change. And it was from that point where I was just like, hey, I got to become someone. We were like, I was probably one of 3 Black people in the school at that time. And so I became president of the freshman class. And I remember the student council teacher saying to me, well, Netta, your big job is to fold flowers for the freshman float. And I laughed so loud. And I was like, oh, no, I'm in this world to create change. And I sure started to do that,
Wow.
And for me, that was such a turning point in my life. I think throughout my path and my career in life, it was really about, okay, how can I create safe spaces for people in general? And so when I got into college, I majored in communications and marketing, but I've always been sort of business minded. So I started my own casting company called Global Glamour at the time, and started cold calling record labels in different companies, and had the opportunity to work with a lot of big names in the entertainment industry. But unfortunately, at one point, my company wasn't as sustainable, and this casting company was really to provide a safe space for women to model and act and be artistic in their own way.
Okay.
And so after that, I did find myself, I think it was a coffee shop, crying because my business was no longer sustainable. I'm just like, what the hell do I do with my life now?
Right.
And I started looking into technology companies, and I started looking into recruiting because I'm like, casting is essentially recruiting. Like I could recruit for anything, right? And
right.
So reading a ton of articles on technology and how it was thriving at that time. And I just went for it. I started pitching myself to different companies. I landed a role with the organization IAC Apps at the time, an organization that Jacinta was working for as well. And for me, I was extremely afraid to make that move because I had owned my own business for such a long time. So it was just like, okay, how do I transition into a full-time job? How do I do this? You know, someone sort of telling me what to do.
Right.
And so that's how come I focused on landing a contract role first and then moved into a full-time direction. And I grew, you know, pretty quickly within the company from recruiter and now VP. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey, but it's been a blessing because at that company I was able to meet my business partner now, Jacinta.
Right.
And you know, Dipper has been born out of that.
Right. I mean, so basically, this opportunity came a part of your education, but a part of being at the right company at the right time to be able to meet your co-founder, your partner, and then to be able to move forward, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and relationships are so key. You know,
Right.
I think that so many times we're so digital, but being able to connect with people is extremely meaningful. I mean, like how I was able to, Netta and I were able to connect and form relationships, how, you know, she was able to connect with ICF at the time and mentioned that there were parallels in her casting career and to recruiting and landing a contact role and things when, you know, I stayed in contact with a recruiter who had reached out to me months prior. You know, we get asked all the time, and people ask us all the time, like, how do you get into tech? How do you, like, if I'm in this career, how do I, like, make the transition? And, you know, one of my little sister friends, Sandra Amos, she is a licensed therapist, you know, and really took it upon herself to go to coding school and to learn how to develop those skills. And, you know, is now using what she knows about psychology and how people think to really build technology. And, you know, I think a lot of times people think there's this huge gap for them to make that transition, but it's really not.
Okay. So that's really cool. I do want to comment on some of the things that you said, which is I probably need to just hire both of you to help me grow, you know, like marketing wise, you know, marketing, you know, in the know and getting it out there and the right people. I mean, I might need y'all just to market me. I am working on myself as far as getting my stuff out there and talking about myself. I'm terrible at it. I'm like, oh, I can probably do that. And then my partner be like, no, you can do that. Why do you demean yourself? Just do it. I don't know. It's who I am.
I understand. Imposter syndrome is a tough thing. And, you know, everyone just, sometimes you just have to pull up that mirror, keep a mirror in your pocket, look at it and be like, no, I got this.
No, I can do this.
I got this. Yeah.
So do you believe that if you don't have a background in tech, that maybe taking a coding class or doing something of that nature will help you with getting into tech?
Absolutely. It depends on which area you're trying to target. So if one is interested in software engineering, then definitely getting into a coding class, getting into a company that's offering, you know, maybe tech classes is ideal. Say if you want to get in the product and marketing realm, then you want to attend different events that organizations are having and really build relationships with people, because that's, you know, like Jacinta was saying, relationships are so important. And if you can connect with the right people that can guide you, become mentors, become sponsors, you can end up landing something.
Right. Absolutely.
And learning and growing, of course, too.
Yes. Okay, so that's awesome that you guys are pushing towards this, that you didn't actually have what we call that true background in tech, but you learned. You learned along the way. You've learned, and the relationships that you have gotten you to where you are. Right. So that's absolutely a great thing. And I want people to realize that, you know, everyone's path is always going to be different, because just because you did not do with Netta and Jacinta have done on their path doesn't mean you can't get to the levels of where they are. Your path just might be different on how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely.
So,
and my hope is that people will learn, like, you know, I know my parents told me this, but that you'll learn from those before you. You know, you don't necessarily have to go down the same path that we went down, but you'll be able to go down the path that's a bit more optimized for you, you know, and it will allow you to be even more successful, even more quickly than it took for us.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there's always bumps along the road. You know, there's always going to be some challenges that we all have to face. So don't let that ever to deter you away from what you want to do. Continue to push.
Right.
Know your worth. Build those, you know, meaningful relationships, and then once you get in there, make sure that you add value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino. We're also Facebook Live. While we're doing our podcast, I see that we've had quite a few people join us. I want to say thank you to everyone who's joined us thus far and for sending us messages like DJ and Deshaun. I do appreciate that. And, you know, make sure you can send a message. You can ask us a question. In fact, it doesn't have to be a question. You can just say how amazing we are. We will accept that as a message on Facebook during the podcast. So you're listening to me speak with Jacinta and Netta. They are the co-founders of Dipper. Dipper is a program that is allowing people of color to go out and to say in a safe space what's going on in their careers, how they are feeling, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and if maybe that's the company that you might want to join. So that is an amazing, amazing opportunity. So once you get a chance, make sure you check out their website and look at all the things that they have to offer. It's a new program that's already expanding exponentially. So make sure that you are a part of that. Ladies, let me get back to you. And I wanted to ask you, what kind of things do you do outside of work?
Oh, that is a good question. Right now I have a 4-month-old. So It has really there's been a lot of focus on him. I don't sleep. I don't know how I function, but I do. So I thank God for that.
Right.
And I would say outside of work, really, the focus has been my family, my husband, my children, and my business. You know, Jacinta and I are always talking 24/7 and just like building our relationship with each other. So that's what it is for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and definitely I think between family, community work, the side hustle is very real right now. You know, that's where we spend a lot of our time. And I will not let Netta forget the thing that I'm trying to teach her as a new mom, you know, self-care. You know, so,
yes, self-care is very important.
Taking time to do something for yourself, sometimes by yourself, like that's perfectly fine. But I think we're both being very conscious of that too, because it allows you to have balance. It allows you to have that space to come up with new ideas and new things too. So, you know, if anything, if we're not spending time with each other, our friends and family, you know, we are. Can I say by our damn self?
Go ahead. Yes, you are by your damn self. Say it.
Like, we're gonna be you know, I think that time is really important.
That is. I know there's a lot of people who have these thoughts, these ideas, these plans that they want to do. And sometimes it's a little scary to get started, especially when you already have a full-time job, you have a family, you know, but you also have a dream. So you definitely want to make sure that you take time out for yourself. And sometimes that means following your dream during that time.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So what is a way that they can contact you? Give us your information for your website, and if there's any social media that you also want to share.
Yeah, they can reach us on ourdipper.com. We're also on Instagram, Our Dipper. We're on LinkedIn as Dipper. And we're also on Facebook as Our Dipper. So we're everywhere.
Right.
And our email, if you ever want to hit us up and email us, it's hello at ourdipper.com. And, we get emails all the time from people that just may want advice, may want a new job, it could be anything. Netta and I, what we found in each other is talking about promotions, career advice, management challenges, but even breastfeeding, like it could be anything. But that's our whole person, that's our whole self. And, we really hope that Dipper and the community we're forming through tech, through the internet, will be that for everyone else.
That's awesome. Yes, I think that it is important, to have a safe space to talk about all these things. And sometimes when you're talking about tech, it doesn't necessarily mean the computer coding part and things like that. It means the life that you're living also outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay.
I was saying absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hate to turn this around, Kat, but we always want to know, like, how can we support you? How can our community support, like, all the great work you're doing too? Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think that's the first time I've gotten that question in like 3 years, but I appreciate that. With me, I'm Kat Bobino. I'm doing In the Know with Kat Bobino. The whole idea behind it is to support people in science, tech, engineering, and math, and to give them a platform to tell their story. The reason why I want to tell people's story is because when you look at media and you look at someone who's in science, tech, engineering, and math, number one, you don't see people who look like us. Let's be honest. And the people you do see are usually the nerdy, the pale, pasty white guy, or they're old, and that's not an image that's going to be appealing to our youth. Our youth are a rainbow of color with a rainbow amount of ideas, and they need people who look like them, who share their ideas, their standards, and things like that to push them into that direction. And so with that, I did a TV show at first with it, and now I'm doing the podcast version to be able to share the podcast, share the Facebook Live, to share the information of what I'm doing, encourage people in STEM to come on the podcast and share their ideas and what's going on, and just get the word out there. I'm just going to tell you, my number one dream is television. That's really where I want to be. I don't necessarily want to be like Bill Nye or Neil deGrasse Tyson. They're great. However, I don't want to come off as a figurehead who knows everything and is telling you what to do and how to think when it comes to STEM. Instead, I want to come at it as someone on your level who are learning about careers and about people who are in STEM.
Right.
So if you know anyone in television who can help me on that pathway, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we sure do. We have a network, so absolutely.
Yes, please share. That is, that's my pinnacle. That's my top dream. So, anything along that pathway is great. So, I'm going to give you ladies this opportunity. One last word before we go on anything about you, your company, or something of that nature.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, and this is for the people, it's so important to, A, know your worth, B, add value, and C, build meaningful relationships.
Right.
With that, you can really move mountains throughout your career. And I just want to, give that word out to our people.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And, we also really, I think, understanding what the challenges and joys of our community are, we will also be able to more intelligently provide insights to companies so that they can then empower people of color and really understanding we don't need you to drag us over the finish line or to hand us the token. A lot of times we just need the leverage to lead. We need the space and capacity for our ideas, for what we need to say. We don't necessarily need to be filtered. It's just giving that space, respecting the, intellectual equity that people of color are bringing to your companies and table, and it really helps pushing us forward and putting people who look like us on boards and on executive teams and allowing us to be, contributors and leaders on a global scale. And we really think that with this data that we're getting from the community, with these insights will be able to help push global corporations in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me this evening. I know that you're on the East Coast, so that's a 3-hour difference, so I'm going to let you go. And of course, we now have each other's information, so please feel free to reach out to me. I'll reach out to you. Let's make sure that we can work out, make sure that we can help each other out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kat.
Yes, thank you for being on In the Know with Kat Bobino tonight. You guys have a good night.
Bye.
Okay, bye. All right. Thank you guys for joining me tonight with In the Know with Kat Bobino. And we are live on Facebook at the same time that we are doing this podcast every Wednesday night at 6:30. So make sure you join us. We're working on making sure that the audio of the podcast is also on different platforms. So keep an eye out for that, or at least an ear. And that way you can also listen to the podcast on different forms and share it. So make sure you like, share, and listen. That is awesome. We do have a few minutes. If you still have questions, go ahead and send them. But I do want to make this little bit of time that I have left to have a little commentary, which is sometimes when you're watching Facebook Live and we're doing the podcast, you'll see me making faces or looking off in different directions. That's because there's always a crew here that's doing various things as well as eating in front of me, even though they know that I'd be hungry. It's kind of rude that they do that. They also drink beer typically. I ask sometimes for a beverage. I always have my water next to me. However, they don't share that either. They just kind of watch me and eat and drink in front of me, which is super rude. But that's why you see me making faces if you're watching us on Facebook Live or looking in different directions. And sometimes that's why my smile disappears, because that's how they're treating me in the studio. So see, there's one right there if you're watching. That was Deshaun. He also has Cognac Confessions. That podcast is also on Facebook Live every Friday at 6 o'clock, right? Yes, 6 o'clock. So make sure that you also join in and watching Deshaun and his podcast. This Friday, I'm going to attempt to come in, watch the podcast, be here. And then I can't drink, though. He already drinks on his podcast. So it's not like I can make him mad by drinking on the outskirts. But I'm going to eat something or something, because he's been over here doing that to me tonight. So that's kind of what's been going on. I just wanted to say thank you for all the help, though. Sometimes, especially tonight, if you were on my page earlier, you would have seen a short videos. We're testing out the Mevo camera. If you haven't heard of it, you should look it up. It's MEVO. And I'm not trying to endorse them unless they want to give me some money as sponsorship. But yes, no, we are testing equipment. I have my producer saying don't say it, but we are. So that's why you see it. I mean, I'm going to erase it anyway. But if you watched it, It's just because we're figuring shit out. That's just what we are, you know, and let's just be real with ourselves. We're figuring shit out. But I just want to say that, you know, I really, really appreciate the people who do take the time to tune in, to hit the like button, the love button, to share the podcast live. And I appreciate everyone who comes through listening and who are continuing to push me forward, to say that they like what I'm doing, they appreciate it, because it makes me feel good and it makes me want to keep going. So my producer, James Rockefeller III, is crying right now because this is emotional. This is an opportunity to share the truth, and the truth is out there. Not just playing. The thing is, I do want to push science, tech, engineering, and math. I want to make sure that we are also, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Somebody is humming and it's annoying. But I do want to push that there are a multitude of careers when it comes to science, tech, engineering, and math, and that we are bringing them to In the Know with Kat Bobino to share their story. Their stories are always different. Their stories are often a pathway that has a lot of divots, a lot of twists and turns. There's also all kinds of directions that you can go going into these careers. No one has a straight path. No one has the right answer, but they keep going. And so that's what I want to implore with you. Even if you're not in STEM, even if you're not doing it the way that we say to do it, but you want to do something else, it doesn't matter. You want to be a pilot, you want to go into sports. Well, maybe if you're over 30, I don't know, that might not be the best idea. I don't want you getting hurt. But then, you know what? You just don't want to give up on your dreams. That's kind of the basis of it, you know. Make sure you tune in next week. Next week, I do have an in-house guest. So you're going to have someone sitting next to me telling her story on what she's doing in science, tech, engineering, and math. And so I want to say good night to everyone, and I hope to see you guys again next Wednesday at 6:30. Thanks, Rod, for being in the shot.